Hello, welcome to Stageworthy. I'm Phil Rickaby, the host and producer of this podcast. Stageworthy is Canada's theatre podcast, and on Stageworthy, I talk to theatre makers of all kinds, from actors to directors to playwrights. If they make theatre in Canada, I talk to them. Some of the people I talk to will be household names, and the rest are people that I really think you should get to know. If you were watching on YouTube, please make sure that you would hit the like button, leave a comment so that I know that you were here, and if you like Stageworthy, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so that anytime I put out a new episode, you'll get notified that a new episode is available. If you're listening to the audio version, please make sure that you're subscribed there too. Go to your favorite podcast app, search for Stageworthy, and hit the follow button. And while you're there, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please consider leaving a rating and a review. Your ratings and reviews help new people to find the show, and it would be super amazing if you would do that. If you could leave a comment, tell the world what you like about Stageworthy, I would be super grateful. And speaking of gratitude, I have a Patreon. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this show, which you should stick around to get a preview of who I'm talking to next week. So stick around to then. I'll talk a little bit about a Patreon before I get to that. But just know that the Patreon is there. And so if you want to join, go to patreon.com/Stageworthy to become a patron. My guest this week is Peter Fernandes. Peter is an award-winning theater creator based out of Toronto. He's currently a member of the company at the Shaw Festival, and also this year marks his directing debut as he directs Shaw Festival's production of Sleuth. Peter has been the host of last year's Dora Awards. He's an actor, singer. He's done so much. I think you're going to really like this conversation, so give it a listen. Here's my conversation with Peter Fernandes. Anything, you just have to let me take you through this interview.
Wonderful.
Peter Fernandes, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day, even though, as you've just told me, you sprained your ankle, and so you had to like miss. How many shows did you miss today?
Oh, just one. Just one.
Okay.
Just one.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got great understudies. We've got great understudies. So that's why they're there. That's why they're there.
That is why they're there. And it's so hard especially if you ever started in like indie theater, it's so hard to get your head around the idea of an understudy. Like, yeah. I did a production of Midsummer Night's Dream years ago where I have no memory of that show because I was feverish and like so sick. I should have been at home, but I was like, there's no understudy. I have to do it. And like, I don't remember that performance.
No. Listen, we're especially in a company like Shaw, we have great understudies. We've all been understudies. We all understudied through the season. So you just trust that. We're it's still hard to kind of get out of your mind a little bit of just going, no, I have to perform. But hey, it's better to take care of yourself so you're not out for the rest of the season.
Well, that's the thing, right? You take a few shows off, and then you're able to continue on for the rest of the season, rather than if you push yourself now, something else goes wrong.
Yeah.
You are the director of Sleuth at the Shaw Festival.
I know.
And this is you've associate directed, assistant directed in the past, and this is your first like gig as a director.
This is my debut. I thought I should start small at the Shaw Festival. Oh yeah, let's just start there.
Well, tell me about Sleuth, and let's get into why you you chose this to be like your directing debut.
Okay, let's talk about Sleuth. Number one thing about Sleuth is it is a mystery. So I cannot tell you a lot about Sleuth because I want people to go in with as little knowledge as possible. Yes, I know this play has been around for a while. There have been 2 film adaptations of it. One very, very successful adaptation that a lot of people have seen. But still, there are people who have not seen it. And so for those people, I want you to go in with as little knowledge as possible. But what I can say is Sleuth is a mystery written by Anthony Schaffer in the early 70s. And it is about a mystery novelist named Andrew Wyke, who is kind of fading out in popularity, who invites a young man named Milo Tyndall to his house in the English countryside, and over the course of the evening plays a series of games with Milo. And this is not so much a spoiler because this happens in the first 5 minutes. You find out that Milo is Andrew's wife's lover and agrees to come to Andrew's house to gain permission to take his wife away. And so that is the essential tension of the story, but that's only the beginning. And I cannot say any more for risk of spoiling anything plot-wise.
It's funny about shows can be produced many times, and they can be legendary. We can know things about them, and yet for someone, it's always their first time. It's their first contact with the material. I remember years ago, I was doing a production of Macbeth, and I was like saying something about the end of Macbeth, and somebody that I went to school with, not theater school, but like high school, was like, "Excuse me, spoilers." And I was like, this play is over 500 years old.
Yeah.
We're talking spoilers, but she didn't know the end. And so that for me,
New
that was like,
people are
that's
born
right.
every day. New people are born every day.
That's right. And like, we, as people who are in the theater, we know these things. We've studied the plays. We know them backwards and forwards. But for somebody, it's their first experience of the play, which is a magical thing. Of course, we don't want to spoil that.
Yeah. So that's I dance whenever I talk about the show. I try to dance around it as much as possible. Even within the company before it opened, I was trying to be pretty tight-lipped around people who weren't in the show.
How did this show come to you as a directing debut?
So unlike some of my recent projects where I've been pitching shows to folks, Tim Carroll, the artistic director of the Shaw Festival, came to me with this proposition of directing Sleuth. So this must have been, on his list of shows that he was interested in producing at the festival, and he decided to come to me with it. Now, the exact reasonings, I don't know, but here's what I can hypothesize. This is my 5th season at the Shaw, and at the Shaw Festival, they really support their performers or their ensemble members, kind of really spreading their wings, their interests, and exploring their other ways that they relate to theater. And so that was always encouraged. And a few years back, I was magic captain on Damn Yankees. And it was around that time that I had started expressing an interest in being more on the creative team of a production. And so when One Man, Two Governors was being programmed, I had pitched that I would be both a performer in the ensemble, but also one of the Neil Monroe directing interns that they take in every year. And they agreed. They agreed to that. And during my season, I was assistant director on 2 mysteries. Witness for the Prosecution and Sherlock Holmes and the Mystery of the Human Heart. And so I think that is probably the seed. He said, "Oh, he's assisted on mysteries," and I think with something like Sleuth, where it bends the genre, there are a lot of elements in Sleuth that are outside of just a murder mystery, that maybe speak to a more comedic lens. I thought maybe they were interested in my lens on that, because I've been in primarily comedies at the Shaw Festival. So yeah, like he said, do you want to be in one for the pot and also direct Sleuth? I was like, who's going to say no to that?
As a debut, as a full director, as I mentioned, you've assisted, associated, directed in the past. What was going through your head as you were taking this in? They wanted you to direct. Is this something that had you been seeking out full directorship, or had you been like, yeah?
I was. It's hard to kind of balance the pursuits, but I was really interested in pursuing directing. All of last year after Fat Ham, I was one of the Metcalf Foundation, um, no, one of the Metcalf Foundation interns, and I built a relationship with Crow's Theater, being mentored by Chris Abraham, really focusing on directing and artistic leadership, and seeing if that continued to spark the interest that it had in previous year. And so I was really focusing in on that. I think Shaw and TC identified that they saw that I was really trying to strengthen those muscles. What thought was in my head when it first came? It was like 10 seconds of pure joy and excitement, and then every moment after that was terror. Uh, it's like you get a project, you get excited about it. Oh yeah, this is great. Then imposter syndrome comes in, especially since it's my debut. I have nothing to kind of lean on would have been tested prior to this. So I'd be testing out my method really, and what I've learned, and the tools that I had picked up here and there. I'd be testing them for the first time, and it would be at Straw Festival, a place that I love, a place a lot of people love. It would open the season. It would reopen the courthouse, and so pure terror, uh, which which maybe just fueled the work. It just fueled the work. It was terror, but in an exciting terror.
Were there people that you consulted, that you leaned on, that you sort of like looked at, or did you already have an idea of what your rehearsal room would look like?
Uh, Chris and I were spending a lot of time with each other around the time that I was offered the show, and so I really leaned on him. I really leaned on Chris, and over the course of that year, from the moment I got it, I was really fortunate to be in rooms, whether I was assisting on works that he was working on, or just being in the rooms of the other projects that were happening at Crow's or in the new play development stream. So I could see and kind of imagine what would be most useful for me and in my voice for the room. But I think heavily right now it would be Chris's way of being in a room is what I was leaning on. I have a lot of other mentors that that I love working with, like Phil Bacon, Nina Liacchino, Tim Carroll as well. And you slowly pick up these tools and you go, oh, maybe I wonder what it'd be like to try that in a room. I wonder what it would be like to try that. And luckily, because you're at a festival and you have a relationship with some of the ensemble, and a little bit of a longer process, you get to try multiple things. If this is a shorter process, you'd probably have to just stick to your guns a little bit. But I was afforded time.
A festival like Shaw does, like you said, it gives you a little bit more time than you would get in some other settings where you might have 2 to 3 weeks to work on a show. You have a lot longer.
Yeah.
What kind of exploration of Sleuth did you do while you were like in that rehearsal process? Because you're, in addition to directing, you're also rehearsing shows that you're acting in, and like doing all kinds of different things. So how do you keep all of those things straight in your head?
Oh, luckily the schedule worked out in my favor, that we didn't start repping the shows until tech, which is a stressful time anyway. But I could, for the bulk of the rehearsal, yeah, for the bulk of the rehearsal, I was really just focused in on Sleuth. I think with any mystery, and I think with any comedy, with any magic and illusions, but especially with a mystery, it was really about what are the facts that are in the text that the audience needs to know so that the mystery is actually a mystery. If they don't know if we don't give them the facts, lay down the given circumstances of what the mystery is, then any surprises down the line won't be surprises. And so there was a lot of just making sure that we knew what the core mystery was, what the diversions were from that was important. And because it's such a small cast, then after we've done that work, it's about playing within that and how do we bring that element of surprise to other facets of the show. And so I think that's where the playing really where the playing lived, right after just securing, okay, these are the things that they need to hear and they need to know in order for the reveals to be potent. How do we then highlight this? How do we then shade in this area in our playing?
It occurs to me as you say that magic is in many ways the perfect setup for directing a mystery, because magic is about controlling what people know, what they see, and what they eventually have revealed. Um, how did your history of being a magic coordinator, of magic in general, play into your direction on this show?
Okay. This is great because I'm kind of forming this now. Again, this is my debut, so it's all kind of coming together right now, and through the process, it's revealing itself. Like I said, if you don't know what the setup is, you don't know what the reveal is. With any sort of illusion, you need to know what you're expected to think is going to happen before we subvert that expectation. If I don't show you an empty hand before I reveal a card, there is no magic there. Magic is about the subversion of expectation. And I think we really leaned in on that for Sleuth, right? Even from everything from performance to design, I really expressed to all the incredible designers on the team that we have to the elements of surprise and play is paramount, and in order to do that, we need to make them believe that they're seeing one thing when it's really another, right? So yeah, it's tied in a major way, and I would also say that that's true of comedy and the way that we work in One for the Pot is that if comedy, laughter comes out of something that is unexpected. And so there must be an expectation there. The joke must be set up well. The circumstances of the joke must be set up well in order for you to laugh at the subversion of the expectation. So they're all tied in: mystery, comedy, magic. And I'm just forming these thoughts right now. But it was surprising, and it shouldn't have been as surprising, but it was surprising how much my illusion work tied in to this show specifically.
I mean, I think the next most logical question is, how did you start in magic?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this before I hopped on because I was trying to pinpoint exactly when. I know, like, I've always been interested in magic. I was one of the kids who had one of those magic sets, and kids still receive magic sets now. And I, when my family went to Vegas, and I watched magic shows there. And I was a magic hobbyist, right? I was interested in how things, how illusions would work, how tricks would work, how sleight of hand would work. But when it came into my performance practice, was hard to pinpoint because I know I had started using it when I was in Hyde Park. I performed this Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream, and Puck was a magician, and I brought in magic for that. And then in my first season at Shaw, for the Russian play, there was a moment in the show that I thought, oh, it'd be great if I could make flowers and petals appear out of nowhere. And so I was using magic already by the time I had come into the shop. But I think it was at the festival that really overlapped those two practices. So I was using it here. I was using it in the internal kind of cabarets we were having inside here, over the pandemic years, in the things that we were creating and performing for Shawgrounds Fairgrounds. I was putting magic in there, and so that progressed to being magic captain on Damn Yankees, where I met my magic mentor, Skylar Fox. He was the illusions and magic designer on that show. And because he's such an incredible mentor and a generous person, he let me in on his process of designing illusions and magic for theater. And so I got to peek into that world more, which isn't a huge world in Canadian theater, but way more so in commercial theater. And so it was really exciting and inspiring to see that work. And through the support of both the Shaw and also the Philip Aiken Black Shoulders Legacy Award, I received funding to pursue mentorship with Skylar. And that's when I feel like I really started to begin a practice in magic and illusions design. And so that was through that help and through Skylar's mentorship, being able to follow Skylar doing illusions for the Broadway transfer of Fat Ham, doing illusions for workshops in the UK. And there are a few folks in the Canadian industry that know that I do some magic and illusions design. So I've been able to design for Crows and design for the Shaw Festival as well. But I think it started here, and it started with Skylar and Damn Yankees.
It's interesting how the industry has changed so much. When I was at theater school a very long time ago, they basically told us, never do anything other than acting. Never take on anything other than acting. Don't let anybody know you have any other talents. Don't do anything like that. It was just like, you are just an actor, which is so counter to the way that the industry works now, where everybody has to be
Do
you have to be a
everything.
hyphenate. Yes. Do everything. And it's funny because that is a major shift. They were training us. They were like, you were going to finish this program, and then you're going to audition for Stratford or Shaw. You're
Mhm.
going to hop back and forth between those, and you are just going to be an actor. That's going to be your career. And that was essentially what I think they were setting us up for. But the need to do many things came after. And now, as you're saying, like you want people to know that you do magic coordination and
Yeah.
illusion design. You want to know people to know that you direct. You want people to know that you're an actor. Like, all of these things feed into your career.
And I think people who are coming out now, I don't know what it would be like to come out into the industry now. I've been out for a while now. So people coming out now, it's not just what are you able to do on stage, but what are you able to do to put work onto the stage? Like, that is so important, right? I think it would have helped immensely. I see some incredible artists right now that I go, oh, it's so great that they started this indie company and they're learning all these things now early on in their career while they're having while they're performing as well. That would have helped me so much in my first go as a director, right? And in all the work that I do for Crows or on the producing side, it's paramount to have indie producing experience, to dabble to see what kind of sparks are there, and not to just limit yourself, not to limit yourself. You can still be as committed to performance, but there's nothing wrong with seeing if something else lights that spark, because it all feeds into each other, and it's so beneficial for anybody who's coming out now, I think.
For sure. I think that everybody who does many things is actually a fuller performer because of all of the things they do.
Yes, I agree. I hope that my directing practice is feeding into my acting practice, and vice versa, and same with the illusion work, which is why that question about how do they overlap is it's really important. It's something that I'm forming right now.
Yeah. Now, you assisted or associate directed on Octet at Crows.
Yes.
you were working closely with Chris, and you were like learning about directing. Having worked on that show, now knowing that it's going to be like a movie musical,
No, yeah.
what what do you think about that like having seen the show like in its stage form? How do you see, because not every show works as a movie.
I I'm really excited. I'm really excited by it because I think people should know the show. I think it's a really great show. I think Dave Malloy is an incredible artist. Uh, you know, he's the Sondheim of now, right? And so, with more people exposed to that show, I think the more people exposed to that show, the better. The better. Is it like a tad bit ironic that this show is about our relationship to screens, and then it's going to be on this big screen in front of us?
but
Sure.
also eventually it will be on streaming and people will watch it on
Exactly.
various sizes of screens.
Yeah, they're just going to watch it on their Apple Watch afterwards. But I think, listen, the message will still be there. I think it'll in whatever way the message reaches folks, that's good. That's good too. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. It had no idea that was gonna happen right after our production of it, because it did feel like it was purely something that you hold in the theater. But I don't think a lot of people know about Octet, and I would love people to know about Octet. And if it creates more fans of Dave Malloy, amazing. If it creates more fans of theater and musical theater, incredible. I'm all for it. And then I get to watch it anew again, this new version of the show.
I do think that like putting these things on screens, whether they are pro shots or filmed versions, they give people the opportunity to see it. And you know what people love to do? They love to go see the things they already know. Like people will go see a band and they get disappointed if that band doesn't play their favorite song. Well, if you go see a musical, you're going to hear all those songs you love that are part of that musical. It's great.
Yeah. It's we're on this with pro shot. I love pro shots. I wish there were more of them. It's always this fine line of going like, oh, will it take audiences away? Like we're trying to bring audiences in. Will they just wait for the pro shot? But I think you're right in that people are gonna, if they like that, they're going to keep coming to the show. I know Hamilton is this its own thing, but it's still running to very high percentages and touring, and there's a movie out, right? Like the pro shot is out. So I think it's okay, and as a way to introduce people to more musical theater, I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that a pro shot does is because it's during a show, and so you hear and experience the audience's reaction. I think that somebody who's watching it for the first time might think, I wonder what it's like being in that room. I wonder what it's like
Yes.
here, which brings more people in. I think that we should pro shot everything. Personally.
That'd be great. I mean, for my sake, I would love to watch a bunch of pro shots. And a pro shot has never taken me out from wanting to watch the show in person.
No, absolutely not. You mentioned Fat Ham, and you, I believe, were nominated for your work in Fat Ham at the same time that you were hosting the Dora Awards. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How is that? I mean, hosting the Dora Awards is a big deal. Being nominated for a Dora Award in Toronto is a big thing. How was it like doing both, like experiencing both?
Truly, I was so grateful to be nominated for Fat Ham. I think it's a really special show. I love being a part of it. It is this really, special point in my career, I feel. But remember that terror I was talking about? Yeah. About directing for the first time? Yeah, that was just that's just a smaller scale than hosting the Doras. I think my thought and fear and anxiety around hosting the Doras just kind of made me be way more chill about being nominated.
I mean,
I don't even think I knew where I was when they were announcing that the recipient. I was just going, what's next? Oh my gosh, what am I doing next?
I mean, I don't. The pressure of having to hold the attention of the entire theater community in the city.
I have everything to lose. What do I have to gain? And everything to lose. Like, oh, so you think you're a funny guy, Peter, huh? In front of everybody.
It's so rough.
It's rough. It's great now to think back on it. Like, oh yeah, it was so fun. People were having a great time. Thank goodness. But you can't. It's hard to think about that in the moment, right? What I can say is that we have a really beautiful and supportive theater community, and so holding to that periodically through the night was important, and feeling that love on stage was important. And it's just like a reminder that yes, sure you can't escape it. There's judgment out there, there's criticism out there, but there's a whole lot of love in the community as well. And there are people who have your back, and there are people who want to see you succeed in the same way that you want to see them succeed, and that our community is full of that. It's hard to see that. It's hard to see that sometimes, but it's true. It's true. There are supports out there. There are people who want you to flourish in the same way that you support them, in the same way that you support them. And so for anybody who's hosting the Doras going forward, just remember that.
That's an important lesson. That's an important lesson, an important message.
Just remember that in the sea of artistic directors that are out there hoping that you say, or that the presenters say their company's names, there's a sea of support and love out there as well.
Okay. You were born in Bahrain. Mm-hmm. Raised in Edmonton, trained in Alberta, and you've built your career in Toronto and Toronto surrounds. How did each of those places shape the artist that you are now?
The community that I'm half Filipino, and in the Filipino communities I was in, right from growing up, performance was a big part of the way that we connected, the way that we gathered, being around not even just a greater community, just a community of like family, right? We would perform for each other, we would sing together, we would sing for each other. And so I think that's kind of where the seed was planted at first. And then I would say that because that's what I connected to as a way to connect to people, that whenever then I would move after that, going from Bahrain to first was Whitby, Ontario for a couple of years, and then from Whitby to Edmonton. At that age, you're trying to make friends. You're trying to find you're trying to find your people. And what did I have that I connected to community? I had performing. I had singing as a way to express my voice, both in the abstract and in the literal way. So that's kind of what I held on to. That moving around is hard as a kid. And how do you find the people that, how do you find that support? How do you find friends? How do you connect? And that's what I was going back to. I was just going back to, maybe if I do this school play, okay, these people also connect through this form. Oh, there's a certain level of vulnerability there. I'm not just the only person who's vulnerable entering this new school. We're all entering this vulnerable experience of doing theater and being in front of other people. And I think at every stage that was the thing. And it kept growing. My love for it kept growing. And with new moves, with new schools, with new environments, you kind of hold on to the thing that worked, and that's kind of how it's influenced my journey to now. It feels like at every point that's what allowed me to connect to the community that I'm a part of now.
Yeah. Was doing plays in school your introduction to theater? I know that in the Filipino community, there's a lot of singing. There's a lot of
Yeah.
now every time there's a party, there's a lot of video
Oh
karaoke,
yeah. Oh
all that
yeah.
sort of stuff. But like at a certain point, you go into school. Was doing plays in school your
Yeah.
introduction to theater?
Yes, it was. And uh yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. Like it was that, and then shortly after performing in plays, if we're my family, if we'd go on vacation, we'd go, oh, what are we going to do in this area? We go, oh, let's see if there's something to watch, because all me and my siblings all enjoyed theater, so we would seek out theater in other areas, and that's kind of what started. I mean, the like purest memory I have of going like, yes, theater, this is the thing, is when I was in the school production of The Wizard of Oz. I auditioned. I auditioned for the Tin Man. I really wanted to be the Tin Man. I was so nervous during the audition that I was like stammering. I was stuttering during the audition, and I was like a sweaty mess. And so they cast me as the Cowardly Lion, one of the alternating Cowardly Lions. And again, made friends, built connections through that. Fainted on stage, part of the show. Fainted on stage, made people laugh, and I went, great. Maybe I should keep doing this. Yeah, because then in my experiences after that, being part of the audience is going, oh wow, those people are making me laugh. Oh, those people are making me feel things. I think all stemmed from being in school plays.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they're doing plays in the high school or in school, and they don't go on to make theater their career. At what point did you decide that was going to be the thing for you?
Oh, that's hard to pinpoint. I would say, I was really enjoying school plays. I was doing all the drama extracurriculars. The teachers were really into that, and I want approval. And so nothing kind of sparked my interest in the same way. And I had a really, really great drama teacher in high school, Vern Slupetz, who I still talk to today. And he was a new teacher who had come in to our school and had kind of brought back the school musical in earnest, right? Like was actually like, yeah, we're going to do these. We're going to do like published scripts, and we're going to go full out on them. And so seeing his passion for it, and seeing how he got that passion out of everybody else, I thought was really integral to me thinking that there was a career here. And Edmonton has a great arts community, and so I was doing things at the Citadel. I was in their programs. Edmonton has a great fringe, and so being exposed to art in that way. So being exposed to all that, the passion that was in Vern, instilling passion in the drama classes I was in, being exposed to professional theater at the Citadel, being exposed to indie theater at the Fringe. You start building a picture of a career. And sure, like it's a very limited picture because you don't really know everything that goes into that. But you start going, wow, look at all these people who are doing it. There is a way to do it. So I think it was somewhere in high school, thanks to Vern and thanks to my exposure to all that. And again, it's how I made friends. a positive association
Yeah.
to those things. Yeah, you go, okay, this is I can build a community. I can be a part of a community. I see it in action. I see a variety of it in action. It is affecting me in a positive way. So why not? Why not go for it? There was a great university program, and I know for my parents anyway that university, you can do whatever you want. It'd be great if you got a degree. It'd be great if you got a degree. And there was a great program at the University of Alberta, getting a Bachelor of Fine Arts. So it was like a perfect storm, I think, of experiences that went, yeah, this feels right.
You went to U of A.
Yeah.
And you graduated there, and you at what point did you go to Toronto? What drew you to Toronto as a place to start to really build your career?
The Soul Pepper Academy. It was Soul Pepper that did it. In maybe not the back of my mind, maybe in the middle of my mind, while I was in Edmonton, I was thinking I would like to explore what's happening in the rest of this country, and I think Toronto would be a great fit for that. Toronto is a very diverse place, and Edmonton was not as diverse as it is now. The community now is really diverse, and it's such a great community in Edmonton. I miss it, and I see some of the work out there, and it's amazing, and the incredible artists coming out of there. It's grown to that point, but Toronto seemed like, oh, there's something there that I that needs exploring, and the opportunity came up. At that point, they were doing auditions across the country for the academy, and so yeah, I auditioned. I went through a whole weird process of not being in the same town as the auditions, but like traveling to another town to kind of audition for it, and it kind of worked out. And in 2013. I made the move. I made the move to start the academy, and it was a 2-year program. And it was from that point forward, I went, oh, okay, this is my professional acting life now. I had done some professional work in Edmonton and in Winnipeg, but then it became more consistent when I came to Toronto, and was more recognized as that I was a professional artist here.
2 years is enough time to put down roots in a place. It is enough time to like really sort of like decide this is my home now. Whereas if you travel away for theater school, you're there for a few months, you go home in the summer. You don't really put down roots when you're in theater school.
Yeah.
I think that the Soul Pepper Academy was like intense for 2 years, and like committed to.
Yeah, and you get to know it's a way to get to know the community, right? We're encouraged to see not only the work and the artists that are passing through the company, but because part of our academy and the artists that were coming through were working at other institutions, it was a way to build a connection there, or to see and be exposed to that work again, and build a community by going through that. Shortly after I arrived to Toronto, somebody who was in our academy community introduced me to Philip Aiken, and Philip Aiken then said, hey, I'm running Obsidian, focusing on Black voices, Black stories. You're a new Black artist. My door is open. So I would say, like, coming into it's not just the time, but it was just where we were, and the artists that were passing through at that time, just building connections that way. Also, it was a brand new experience for me to be introduced to the festivals, right? Like, those are big things. That I just didn't have any relationship to. You hear about it in Edmonton, of course, like, that there are these important institutions, but then you go, oh, right, we're in that community. We're there. All the artists across the country, yeah, we're just in that big artist community, right? It kind of brought that to the forefront. You stop feeling a little bit like you're outside of things when you're connected to a theater company. I wouldn't say that is unique to just coming to Toronto. I think it just starts to happen when you start working for any theater company. You go, oh, right, I'm in the community. Like, oh yes, I'm right, this person that I would watch growing up on stage is an actor as well, and I'm an actor. We are actors.
Yeah.
We're going to be performing together. So, that was kind of what was happening as I was getting more professional work in Toronto.
Yeah. And Philip Aiken is such an important his importance to Black theater in this country is so it's undeniable. He's as one of the founders of Obsidian and the artistic director for many years of Obsidian. When you say that his door his door was open.
Oh my goodness, it's such a vivid memory. I couldn't believe because he's so important to the theater ecology. Period. Yes, Black theater in Canada, theater. Period. The fact that he was willing to be there should I need any guidance as somebody who's young and new to the city and new in craft was really important to my development. And he's been important to me, at really key points in my career, like from that moment forward, then being in like my first, professional musical, like, or introducing me, like being able to do my favorite musical with him, and then to be reconnected at Fat Ham, the Philip Aiken Black Shoulders Legacy Award. Like I go, wow, these are big pillars in my career that I owe to Philip.
What a talented director too. I remember just being shattered by one of his he directed Men in White a number of years ago at Factory, which just shattered me. As I think it did everybody in the audience. That takes a very careful hand. In terms of that move from, listen, when you were mentioning about being in Alberta, in Edmonton, at the time, and it was so, shall we say, white. But you'd also been in Whitby, and I grew up in that area, which was also quite white at the time. Did I mean, you mentioned it being growing more diverse over time, but did being Black in Edmonton impact, like, how were people with you? Were people overtly racist, things like that? Like, what was that like? Because I know my brother is Black and he had a hard time in Ajax at the time.
Mm-hmm. You do a lot of, moving is hard, and you're just trying to connect. And yes, I can't deny that. Yes, of course there's racism. Of course you're kind of you feel like you're kind of like at arm's length of the community, or that you're kind of hiding part of yourself. I think that's kind of, on reflection, like that's kind of what the major thread is, because like there's the overt racism, there's the overt exclusion, and then when you look back, as I look back as an adult, and you go, wow, in my need to connect to a community that is primarily white, or that you kind of shield a little part of yourself that you are afraid of because of the overt things, afraid of distancing yourself from people. And then you do that for a little bit, you do that for longer, and then you go into more institutions that are primarily white. Then you get into even more communities that are white, and so then that becomes the norm for you. And then it takes a lot of breaking out of that in your adult life to go, oh right, it's okay to be this person in this room and in this community. It is okay to be that. I would say that theater helped that. A lot of my bullies in junior high changed schools when I was in high school, so I stuck around in my high school. Right, so you have a little crack of going like, I can be a little bit more of myself, but it's hard when even as you're discovering more of yourself as an adult, you are still in predominantly white rooms and communities, because then even as you're exploring that, you're still not really mining the part that you had done such a good job of hiding. So like a great example of something that was really illuminating for me was being in the cast of Father Comes Home from the Wars, and that being for me one of the first instances of being in a predominantly Black cast, and go, oh right, this experience that I have is not detracting from the show. It is integral to the show, and that is not just because this is a predominantly Black cast and this is a show about the Black experience. That is important in all rooms, but it still takes time to kind of do that. Even now in my career, because you spend so much of your formative years growing up there just going, right, maybe that, they don't connect to that, but I need to make friends and I need to make community. Let me push this to the forefront. So it's an ongoing thing, and I'm sure that a lot of people in my position are experiencing that. You hope that, and this is what I hope to bring to my directing practice or any leadership capacity that I'm in, is that you hope to create an environment that allows people to not have to hide that you can be part of their journey of putting that forward more.
Yeah. As you're now, this is the Sleuth, returning to Sleuth. It's your debut as a director of a full show, like being the director of a show. Is there a show, or is there, like, how do you see your journey moving forward, either with Shaw or other companies? Is that, like, you want to continue doing the thing that you're doing now with being a director and acting? Is that the trajectory you'd like to follow?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I would love that. And it's very, and I understand that that's very hard, and sacrifices have to be made. I like right now I'm really focusing in on what's going to feed my directing practice, just because it's newer. It needs nurturing. I am excited about building those strengths and learning from Sleuth. It was such a incredible process. I feel like I was spoiled at Sleuth because it was such an incredible process. But there's always things that you can learn, and so I'm excited for the next opportunity to do that. If I was going to get like particular and granular, which I have no right being because I've only directed one show, like I'll watch anything, please. Because also I just don't know. I don't know what I don't like. I've liked it so far. I don't know what I don't like just yet in terms of directing. Maybe there'll be projects where I can be more picky later. But if I was going to get granular, it's comedy is really important to me. Comedy has been integral to my career. It has. I've been building a career around comedy, and so I would like to continue that in my directing work. I think sometimes, most times, people don't take comedy as serious as they should. But I think making somebody laugh, and laughter is still vulnerable, is still exposing some vulnerability. And yeah, it's still exposing some vulnerability. And we don't credit it with that. We don't credit the way that vulnerability allows access to that person, allows that person to open up to new perspectives. And I know that seems so up there, but I believe it. I think laughter is important, and I want to bring the same rigor that we bring to any other type of work into dramas, into comedy, which is why I respect Chris Abraham so much, because he brings that rigor, he brings that expertise, that precision to comedic work, and not at the expense, never at the expense of the enjoyment of comedy in the room. I think it's incredibly hard to do comedy for a lot of reasons. There's an expectation of a response with comedy. There is an expectation of the process of putting a comedy up. So those are all things that I think are important, that still demand rigor and precision. And sometimes it's not. I don't think we relate those two together. And I want to continue that as a director.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have this thing. I don't know about anywhere else, but it does sometimes seem in the Toronto scene that we don't appreciate comedy quite as much as we should. We would like our theater to be very important and very serious, but comedy is healing, laughter is healing, and it's so important for all of us.
I think comedy is in a lot of the things that we think should just remain serious. I think it's really important to find the comedy in those things. Hamlet is funny, there are funny things in serious works, and sometimes we, even in those moments, we choose no, that's not what it's about. I think it's important. I think it's important to any work. I read Sleuth and I thought it was funny, and that's having that lens and building that lens and that rig around comedy is really important to what I hope I get to direct in the future.
Yeah.
But also, I'll direct it all. Anybody? I would say the musicals are it's what got me into theater as well. Like it was, the school plays were musicals.
Yeah.
Going out to see things, it was musicals. I love musicals. So give me a musical.
I mean, musical is so huge, and yet it feels like the thing that drew a lot of people into the theater, right? Like those cast albums, doing the shows in school and that sort of thing. It's the thing that I think for a lot of people, I think that's where like your artistic soul kind of sings, just like there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally it sings. That's where you're, it's again, the opening up of that voice, the expressions through dance, those are vulnerable acts those are, for musicals, we usually associate with being very accessible. And so you have this accessible form that allows for an incredible amount of vulnerability. What an incredible way to connect to an audience and community. So, maybe I'm just aggravated sometimes. People go, musical isn't real art or whatever, or comedies are real art. I go like, what are you talking about? This is what people crave, that, and there's an amazing opportunity for vulnerability and change in those things. Take it as seriously as you take anything else, and you've got and what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I always find it weird when people are like, "Oh, musicals isn't real theater, or comedy is not real theater." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" It's like people are like, "Well, somebody, they start to sing out of nowhere." I'm like, "Yeah."
I mean, so much of our work has stuff that is. You watch a movie, there's a score. Yeah. Where's that coming from? Oh, it's not so silly now. And also think, it's. I want to advocate for all artists, obviously, and I think musical theater performers really get a bad rap sometimes, and I think that is so unfair. It's so unfair that they have such a incredible ability that I think we should stop that distinction so much.
Yeah,
that's something like a lot of forms of theater. I go, just blur the lines. Why are we trying to box people up anyway? Everybody's got to do everything now.
I mean, that doesn't hurt anybody. That only makes everybody a better performer, a better everything. So like, do a little bit of everything, like we were saying earlier.
Exactly. Come a full circle.
Exactly. Nice. It's like I planned it. Peter, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Just with your conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Stageworthy. Before I get into who my guest is next week, I want to make sure that I talk about my Patreon. I can't make this show without the people who've chosen to back me on Patreon. It costs money to create a podcast. It costs money to have a website, to have a place to host your audio files so they can be sent out to all of the podcast listening places. Editing software costs money. Image creation software costs money. Transcripts cost money. And so I am so grateful to the people who are backing me on Patreon, because like I said, this show wouldn't exist without them. If you would like to become a part of the team, become one of the people who helps me to make this show, please consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/stageworthy, become a patron. Patrons get early access to episodes. We'll have some conversations about things that are happening in the theater world. And so I would love to have you. I'd be so grateful if you would become a patron. Go to patreon.com/stageworthy and become a patron. My guest next week is Ryan McCullum. Ryan is a Toronto-based content creator who runs the Plates and Playbills account on both Instagram and TikTok. It's a great conversation about being a theater content creator and just generally talking about theater in the world from someone who genuinely loves theater and isn't the maker of it, which is always really interesting. So make sure that you tune in next week on Stageworthy.